Welcome, everyone, to the 2003 Fort Lauderdale Offshore Grand Prix, coming to you from beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hi, I'm Mr. Parry on behalf of Jeff Girardi and the rest of the Freeze Frame video production crew. This is the 6th national race for the APBA Pro Tour this season. Now, this morning, we've already had races 1 and 2, which consisted of the PX class, Super Cat, and Super Cat Light. And the winners are in those classes. First off, in Outlaw Performance PX, we have Bacardi Silver in first place, followed by How Sweet It Is. In Outlaw Performance V, Switch Sentient Racing. In the Performance Turbine class, Callan Marine. In Super Cat, Reliable Carriers, followed by Brioschi, then WHM Motorsports. And in Super Cat Light, Liquid Metal, In Contempt, and How Sweet It Is. And those are your winners in race 1 and 2 this morning. Now, the national point standings for the Super Cat and the Super Cat Light include, first off, Bacardi Silver in first place, followed by Reliable Carriers, then WHM Motorsports, Airborne Big Thunder Marine, and Daytona Sun Times. In Super Cat Light, Liquid Metal on top, followed by In Contempt, Dirty Duck, Page Racing, and White Knuckles Racing. Now, the only change in the national point standings involved in Super Cat, Reliable Carriers got ahead of WHM Motorsports, so Reliable in second, WHM Motorsports now going down to third. Those are the national point standings in Super Cat and Super Cat Light. Of course, we'll be crowning your national champions in Tampa next week. Now, this afternoon we had races 3, 4, and 5, consisting of Super V Light, Factory 1 and 2, and Outlaw Performance classes 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the One Design class. Now, the national point standings in these classes before the race were as follows. In Super V, it's Team Donzi, then Ettore Squeegee, Spider-Man, Utz Castaway, and Lucas Oil. In Super V Light, Vortec Extreme on top in first place, followed by High Noon Racing, Screamin' Nuts, Turnkey Marine Offshore Racing, Attitude Motorsports, and Way Too Crazy PokerRun.com. In Factory 1, Winnebago, followed by Typhoon, Screamin' Eagle, Velocity VR1, and WorldPlayer Casino.com. In Factory 2, Snap-on Talking Tools, and Harwich Concrete Block, Let's Play Racing, and AR Donzi. In Outlaw Performance 1, American Dream, White Knuckles Racing, How Sweet It Is, and Big Thunder Marine. In Outlaw Performance 2, Advanced Transmission Center, Obsession, Kinetic Animation, and Daytona Performance Marine. In Outlaw 3, Wild Ride, Outlaw, What's Up, and Team TKO. And in Outlaw Performance 4, Sonic Racing on top, followed by Just Prey Racing, Revolution Marine, and The Backboat. In Outlaw Performance 5, Carrabba's Team Blythe, then High Priority, Vixen, and Simply Awesome. In Outlaw Performance PX, it's How Sweet It Is, Callan Marine, Airborne, Bacardi Silver. And finally, in the One Design class, Premier Performance, American Express, Cavallaro Motorsports, and Mohegan Sun. And those are your national point standings in those respective classes. And we'd also like to thank OffshoreOnly.com for part sponsorship in this race here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. All right, now here are your competitors for race 3, 4, and 5. In Super V, it's Team Donzi, then Miccosukee Indian Gaming, Utz Castaway, Lucas Oil, Pier 57, Ettore Squeegee, Spider-Man, Fury, and H&H Speed and Marine. In Super V Light, Way Too Crazy, Hendricks Motorsports, High Noon Racing, and Vortec Extreme. In Factory 2, Pantera Racing, Let's Play Racing, Team Fisher Offshore Racing, Harwich Concrete, and Snap-on Talking Tools, and AR Donzi. In Factory 1, Typhoon, WorldPlayerCasino.com, Flashwave, Team Levycraft, Offshore Addiction, Screamin' Eagle, Winnebago, and WorldPlayerCasino.com. Now, Outlaw Performance 2, Advanced Transmission Center, and BrowardHomeInfo.com. In P3, Team TKO, Team Fortress, Cancun Cantina. In Outlaw Performance 4, Sonic Racing, Zero Cavity, and Cast Off Racing. In Outlaw 5, High Priority, and Carrabba's Team Blythe. One Design, White Typhoon, Premier Performance, Empire Events, Romash, and American Express. And those are your competitors in races 3, 4, and 5. Now, the sponsors for this event here in Fort Lauderdale include the Toy Store, Shooter's Waterfront Cafe, and the Radisson Bahia Mar Resort and Yachting Center. Great place. It's also the headquarters for this race. Breathtaking views of the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the APBA officials include Michael Allwise, Jim Poplin from the Stars Rescue Team and its entire rescue team, Deke Kimes, the chief scorer, Paula Brew, and Mike Tomlinson, the chief referee, and a special thanks for orchestrating this event, Michelle Schmidt. Now, the APBA sponsors in this 2003 Pro Tour include GMC Vortec Engines, Mercury Racing, Formula Racing, Snap-on, Donzi, Sterling Performance, BioClean, and many, many more. All right, very shortly, we will be airborne to bring you this 2003 Fort Lauderdale Offshore Grand Prix. All right, as you can see now, we are airborne, and there is the orange smoke signaling that very shortly we will begin race number 3. We're going to go with the Super V start. There's the boats now beginning to spread out and line up. As we said, we're going with the Super V start, race number 3. And in the Super V, we've got Team Donzi, Utz Castaway, Locust Oil, Pier 57, Ettore Squeegee, Spider-Man, Fury, H&H, Speed and Marine, and also Mikasuki Indian Gaming in Super V. These boats are currently doing a parade lap before the official start, and bumpy waters here today off of Fort Lauderdale. See the beautiful Fort Lauderdale skyline. Once again, boats spreading out, awaiting the start. Cloudy skies are in Fort Lauderdale today. And we've got a green now here in this 2003 Fort Lauderdale Offshore Grand Prix, race number 3. On the inside, there is Fury. It's a Phantom, and then Mikasuki Indian Gaming on the outside. It's a Fountain. Utz Quality Foods on the far outside, also a Fountain. So it's Fury, Mikasuki, and Utz. And then coming into the picture, we've got H&H, Speed and Marine, and Lucas Oil. Looking to the leaders, Fury, Mikasuki, and Utz. Early moments of race number 3 here in Fort Lauderdale. Steve Delaney and Ray Delaney on board Fury. As we said, it's a Phantom. Everyone off to a great start here in race number 3. There's Lucas Oil and Utz on the outside. Everyone off to a great start. Let's go on board Ettore Squeegee at the start. James Richardson Jr. and Dennis Segalos on board, driver and throttle man. Ettore, a Fountain. All right, back to our helicopter shot. It's Fury, Mikasuki, and Utz, your early leaders in race number 3. Around the turn. First turn, Mikasuki, your leader. Choppy waters here at the Atlantic off of Fort Lauderdale. Brett Lee Pershman and Todd Easton on board Mikasuki as they make the turn. Mikasuki, a 38-footer. Sponsors include Mikasuki Indian Gaming and Marshall Painting. Brett Lee Pershman, the owner and driver. He's from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Todd Easton from Lauderhill,